Hi, what's your name?
Dan Poirier.
Dan, good to know you.
Nice to know you as well, Chris.
Why don't we start off and give me a little background on yourself?
I got my accounting degree from Old Dominion University in 1987. My MBA from Colorado State University in 1996. Spent a good part of my beginning part of my career in accounting and finance for both large and small companies. Over the course of the last 10 years, I have really been able to make an effort to take myself into more of an operational and executive level role, and that's been something I found very challenging and really enjoy doing that a lot.
If I ask you what your leadership style was, or even better, what would you say are the attributes of a good leader?
I'd probably narrow it down to a couple of key attributes. I think that a good leader needs to first and foremost develop his employees. Some form of mentoring, helping them to build upon their skills. This serves two purposes. First, it helps the employee develop a better sense of self-worth. It helps them become stronger at what they do, and employees generally tend to appreciate that, even though they may not necessarily communicate that to you. And second, that provides the organization with a better resource, whether it be in a time of crisis or in a time of growth. When you need someone who's got a skill set, you can push it down further into the organization. A second level of leadership skills that I think are important include the ability to be decisive and the ability to communicate organizational objectives to your employees. I put those two together because when you communicate your objectives to your employees appropriately and the employees see you making decisions that are in line with those objectives, they develop a trust in your decision making. And when you've got to make decisions that either they don't agree with or that they don't necessarily understand, that trust will get them past that disagreement or past that misunderstanding and help them go along and be able to actually do what's necessary to fulfill those decisions. And finally, I really think it's important for a leader to take responsibility for what's going on in this department. You're either succeeding or you're not succeeding. I know that's a very black and white way of looking at it, but that's what happens with teams. And the leader has got to be responsible for things that not only he's going to get the praise when things go right, he's got to be responsible when things go wrong. Step up, I'm responsible, I'll fix it, here's what I'm going to do to go forward.
Well, I mean, employing that philosophy, how has that worked for you? Share with me maybe an example of an accomplishment you're proud of where your leadership and management skills have paid off.
That would be with Priority, my entire experience at Priority Networks. When I came on with the company, they were very small. They were generating in between $2 and $2.5 million a year. They were operating out of the homes of the owners up in Boise, Idaho, doing a lot of business, a lot of activity, but they weren't really generating any profit. They made the determination that they needed some structure, they needed some financial controls, and that's what they brought me on to develop. And they were right on the verge of also signing a contract, bringing it down here in Las Vegas that would double the size of the company. So I came on, built the structure, put the financial controls in place, we got the contract, we doubled our size, and then over the course of the next 5 years beyond that, we grew at a 20% clip every year for each one of those years, and that structure was really strong in helping us manage that growth. Eventually, you know, once the structure was in place, I was able to start exploring other areas of the operation. I got into operations, I got into marketing, and I even got myself involved in the business development side, resulting in us bringing on an additional $2 million in annual revenue. It was a repeating revenue source through my efforts in the business development side.
So really more than double the size of the original company you joined?
It was 2.5 when I joined, 2.5 million, and when we sold the company, the year we sold it, we did $12 million in revenues.
Okay. Well, yeah, 6
and
times.
So it was,
6 times.
And you know, we sold I became president in 2005, and we sold the company in 2006, and you know, for me that was great. I got to be a critical player in bringing a small organization that was really struggling to the point where our competition looked at us and we had enough value that they felt that they should buy us, not only for the value, but also they needed to get us out of the way.
That's right.
We were creating pain for them.
Yeah, right. Well, I guess maybe you've already partly answered this, but I mean, what if you could sum it up for me, what do you really bring to the table? I mean, why should a company, if they've got 4 or 5 great candidates, why are you the guy?
I'm driven, I've got very high standards, and I've got a very strong moral compass. Those are three key components of just who I am. And I think that companies, when they hire somebody, especially at the senior level, they expect that that individual is going to bring some form of return on their investment.
Especially today.
They're putting a lot of money into your salary and your benefits,
right.
and you know, even the time it takes you to get up to speed with the specific company. And the areas that generally you'll see those improvements will be either through greater efficiencies, through some form of cost savings, or through some increase in revenues.
Right.
I've been fortunate enough in my career to have achieved all three of those objectives for various companies that I've worked for, and I think that I'm capable of doing that on a going forward basis. And you know, finally, I'm an optimistic individual. You know, I think that a company that's got a team of skilled people, highly skilled people who are all pulling in the same direction, with a good leader to guide that direction, make sure that they're focused on the objectives of the organization, can't help but succeed. And that's something that I think I'm capable of doing.
Very good. Well, Dan, I certainly appreciate your time.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay.